Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into the campaign of destruction from XIVU, the god of war. But before I begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. As ARATH and his sisters forced an ultimatum on the remaining Krill to accept the worms or perish, turning them into the hive, ARATH turned his attention to Fundament's moons, and gave the Ammonites, there who had allied with the Traveler, and gave asylum to Teox. Initially, he was willing to negotiate with the Ammonites, but his sister Savathun, under pressure from the worms, killed ARATH as punishment. But rather than dying, ARATH's soul instead passed to his ascendant realm, or throne world, where his soul resided until he returned to the mortal realm. Rebuked, ARATH purged what sympathy and goodwill he had left, becoming a merciless tyrant. He and his sisters warred with one another on a regular basis after the defeat of the Ammonites as part of their worship of the sword logic, and their attempt to become the sharpest blades in the universe, heading to their ascendant realms when defeated. Their war of revenge against Teox had transformed into a campaign of genocide, when they slew the Ammonites and other interstellar civilizations to feed their worms. While ARATH and Savathun established courts to practice and study the sword logic, XIVU declined, declaring that her court would be everywhere war was found. During the war with the Akume, ARATH came to realize that the worm had deceived him and his sisters. Their worms' appetites were growing past their ability to feed with death. Meeting with his sisters in the Ascendant realm, surrounded by their servants, some of which despised them for showing weakness, they despaired over their dilemma. When his sisters offered their power to help ARATH find a way to save them, ARATH killed them, and used that power to confront his patron god Akka, the Worm of Secrets. He killed Akka so that he may steal its ability to call upon the deep, and then created the Tablets of Ruin, which gave him the power to take. His transformation complete, ARATH was now Oryx, the Taken King. During the subsequent war with the Akume, Oryx revived XIVU in an act of war, and revived Savathun in an act of cunning. He then decreed the Tith system. Each hive would kill their enemies, take some of their feed to their own worm, and tith the rest to their superior. Thralls would tith to acolytes, acolytes would tith to knights or wizards, the knights and wizards would tith to the ascendant hive, those who commanded legions of warriors and earned the right to enter the hive god's ascendant realms. All of this violence would eventually reach Oryx, Savathun, and XIVU, allowing their worms to feed on violence while continuing to invoke their inner natures. Following the golden amputation, Oryx declared to his sisters that the hive had conquered its way to the edge of the deep, and that it had granted him a personal audience. As Oryx retreated into his throne world to commune with it, Savathun conspired with XIVU to strand him there and steal his Tablets of Ruin by cutting off the tribute flowing through his Tith system. They were ultimately unsuccessful. On returning, Oryx deceived XIVU and poisoned her own flow of tribute, so that she could never try to steal his tablets again. In the aftermath of this attempted betrayal, one of Oryx's daughters, Irhalak, visited XIVU's throne world and tested her death song there. All who heard it were irreversibly killed. XIVU complained about Irhalak's behavior to Oryx, who was greatly amused. After the Vex invaded Oryx's throne world, Savathun tipped XIVU off as to its location. XIVU planned an ambush, but Oryx, aware of his own vulnerability, evaded her by moving his throne into the Dreadnought. Following the war with the Harmony, Savathun decided that her fleets would enter the black hole that the Harmony lived around, claiming that she would become stronger for it, while XIVU took her fleets away from Oryx's, as she felt he constrained her too much. A year following the Red War, XIVU began committing some of her forces to the solar system, possibly in aid of her sister Savathun or for her own schemes. An ogre, Meager, spawn of XIVU, was imprisoned in the Prison of Elders and broke free during the Scorpion's jailbreak. A substantial force of Hive and Taken, apparently obedient to XIVU, also invaded the Dreaming City after its unsealing, pillaging it for awoken relics towards an unknown purpose. These forces were destroyed by the Guardian, and the relics returned to the Awoken. At some point, her sister Savathun had been secretly working in her name to undermine the Cabal homeworld of Tabotl, corrupting Advocate General Uman Arath into becoming a worshipper of XIVU. Driven by obsession over war, ARATH undertook a hive ritual in the capital city to summon the god of war to their planet, which was accidentally completed when Catel, the Princess Imperial, slew ARATH, providing the blood and sacrifice needed to open a portal for XIVU to come through with her armada of war moons and an army of hive. As she invaded to battle, XIVU declared that the Cabal had been worshipping her for as long as they venerated war, and that she had finally come to claim her overdue tribute. Her forces overwhelmed the Cabal's defenses and drove Empress Catel to evacuate the remaining population to the remnants of her fleet and retreat to the Sol System. Following the second arrival of the Black Fleet in the Sol System and the sudden disappearance of Savathun from her court, XIVU began marshalling her forces into the system and making her influence even more overt. Her High Celebrant began spawning cryptoliths throughout the system, corrupting Hive, Fallen, and Cabal alike that came under within range of them into Wrathborn subjects. Though XIVU's High Celebrant would be hunted down and killed by the Guardians, it was later on revealed that her Wrathborn were not only attacking the solar system, but also spread out across the galaxy. Most notably, the Cabal themselves had been under siege since the fall of their world, prompting the newly coronated Empress Catel to propose an alliance with the last city to stand against the Hive God of War. So what did you guys think of XIVU's campaign of destruction? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.